do a lot of tutting at the Brits. This is so British, this is so English. However, if people relatively newer to the UK than me do the same thing, I feel offended. So it's complicated. It's really complicated.
Angelika Hell has a complicated relationship with her UK home, having left Italy 25 years ago. This is Writer's Mosaic, What We Leave We Carry, the series that tells the true life stories of migration to the UK.
My name is Angelika. Most people call me Angie. Brits tend to call me Ange. My parents call me Poppy. I grew up in the north of the Italian Alps in a region called South Tyrol where people speak German. So I'm a member of an Austrian ethnic minority in Italy. I came to the UK in 1999 and have lived here ever since. I went to holiday in Lesbos and I met a woman who was originally, she was Welsh, but at the time she lived in Manchester. We partied and we had fun and we spent a few really nice days together. And then she came to see me in Innsbruck a few months later, and we really fell for each other. And I still had that visa to go to Canada, and maybe we hooked up and had a great time because I knew that I was going to go to Canada. I don't know. But I remember speaking to a friend of mine saying, well, what am I going to do? Because now I'm supposed to go to Canada, but I'm actually in love with a woman who lives in Manchester. And my friend went, well, if you're really honest about it, it's not about going to Canada, is it? You just want to move away from here. So it's just about leaving Austria. So why don't you go to the UK instead? And I thought, well, yeah, she has a point. So when I presented this woman I was seeing at the time with this idea of, well, how about I move to the UK instead? She was not quite as delighted as I thought she would be. She went, okay, yes, but I would like you to move to London and we can see each other at weekends. I think she was a little bit overwhelmed, which in hindsight, yeah, I get that. Didn't quite at the time. So I flew to Manchester to see her for a few days. Then she shipped me out to London for a week to spend a week with her friend who was showing me around London. Took the train back to Manchester, exhausted. And I said to her, I can't do this. I cannot move to London. It's too big for me. Moving around London is so exhausting. I couldn't possibly work and have a life. It's too much. And she went, all right then come to Manchester. So I did. And in, around Halloween 1999, I moved to Manchester with a suitcase. And that was that. I moved to Manchester in late October and it was grey and it was damp and it rained all the time and I never saw any sunlight and I'd moved without a job. I just moved and the agreement was stay with me until you find a flat. But I just crumbled. I didn't have money to go into town, so I was hanging out at her flat most of the time, which was in Whalley Range in South Manchester. She had to go to work, so during the day I was on my own, I fell into a deep hole. I wouldn't go out. I'd sit on the sofa and cuddle Corky the cat. She had a black and white cat called Corky, and that's what I would do. I'd walk to the shops. I thought my English was pretty good at the time. I'd studied English, some English at university, and I realized I didn't understand the Mancunians at all. So I thought that was to do with my level of English. I mean, I still don't understand Mancunians that well, 25, 26 years on, but at the time I blamed my language skills or lack thereof for it. So everything went dark, and I spent a whole winter pretty much on her sofa until by springtime I plucked up I also thought there was all the jobs are in English and my English is not good enough, therefore I can't do a job. Until eventually I plucked up the courage to apply for a job at the local health food shop, which was a cooperative. So that was my first job in the UK. I worked at a vegan cooperative and hated every moment of it, but I did it anyway. Yeah, so Manchester was not much of a success. I still find gelling with British people, sometimes I still find that difficult. There seems to be a distance. I have British friends and I love them to bits. A lot of my British friends have more unusual backgrounds. My ex, the woman I moved to Manchester for, grew up with an Italian prisoner of war father in Wales. So most Brits I'm friends with, they don't have a conventional background. Your standard Brit, I think we don't have enough in common to gel or to bond. There's a lot of politeness, there is a lot of chit chat, but there is very rarely any depth. And I don't know if that's about my expectations. I mean, I've been told many times that I'm a very intense person. I believe I have a Central European soul. My passport might have been Italian, but my soul, I mean, I believe it's not a coincidence that Sigmund Freud was Austrian. I think there is that sort of Central European on the border to Eastern Europe. There is a heaviness of the soul I don't find in British people, and I believe this is also a heaviness British people don't know how to relate to. I think I'd been in the UK for maybe 5 years when my mother started to comment that she noticed that I was more polite and I was more considerate than I had been. So I think some Britishness has crept up on me without me noticing. So yeah, when I'm out of the UK, I am more British. I think sometimes I pretend to be British when I have this thing because I have an Italian passport. My first language is German, and sometimes I get embarrassed about my Italian speaking. Well, I've lost a good chunk of my Italian because I have not used it since I was 19 or barely used it. So I feel really embarrassed about being Italian, not speaking Italian. So sometimes when I go abroad, I pretend to be British. So sometimes it helps. When I'm in the UK, I'm definitely European and I do a lot of tutting at the Brits. But this is so British, this is so English. However, if other people, if newcomers, people relatively newer to the UK than me do the same thing, I feel offended. So it's complicated. It's really complicated. The British things that make me tut, sitting on the fence, sort of not having fully formed opinions, or in the sort of during the whole Brexit thing, I think it was called cherry picking a lot. Sitting on the fence, I think, not fully committing to something, I think I view as a little bit, not so much British, English. I wouldn't want to include Scots in that, because I think they are different. Because I'm white, middle class by education. I use words with more than 2 syllables when I speak English. Well, reasonably, well educated, white. I don't look foreign until I open my mouth. I have not experienced much. Well, I have not experienced any overt racism. It's the little digs that get to you. And for example, about 3 weeks ago, my car battery died, and I called the AA to come out because my car was in the garage. It's an automatic car, so I couldn't get it out of the garage. Anyway, I called the AA. They're always really nice. The assistance guys, I believe they're trained to deal with people who are anxious in difficult situations. This was not a difficult situation. It was just my garage. Anyway, the guy arrives, gets out of his van, and asks me what seems to be the problem. I say, I believe it's the battery. And as soon as I say the first sentence, his first thing is, "What's that accent?" And I hate that. I really don't like it. I know I have an accent. The gentleman in Manchester told me I had to lose my accent 3 weeks into my stay in the UK. It's now been 26 years. I still have an accent. I will have an accent until the day I die. But what's the accent? To people who do it, they meet a foreigner, they ask the question, and off they go. That foreigner gets asked the same question 10, 20 times every single day, and it's exhausting. I'm not my accent. So it's not so much racism, well, it's micro-racisms, lots of them, I believe. When I moved here with a suitcase in 1999, I thought I was a European citizen moving to another European country. And I maintained that belief for quite a long time. I didn't realize that culture shock, the culture shock I was going to be in for, is very different from Central Europe. I was not prepared for that, so that was a surprise. The thing that really surprised me, and that took a very long time to find out, I think that was the sort of towards the referendum. It was only then that I became aware of the split between urban Britain and not urban Britain, and I don't even want to say rural Britain, but I've lived in Brighton for 25 years now, nearly, coming up. I've lived in urban Britain ever since I got off the boat, and I didn't realise how different the rest of Britain thought or thinks about things. That only came to light for me in the run-up to the referendum, when the mood changed very drastically and very radically. So that surprised me, because I think I was naive and blue-eyed and thought, oh yeah, the whole of Britain is like this bubble I live in, the Brighton bubble. There are things from My first home where I grew up that I have brought with me. One is there is an object that's been moving with me ever since I first left home at the age of 19, and that is a pepper grinder. When I first left home to go to university, my parents very kindly provided me with kitchen utensils and things. And one of the things was a wooden pepper grinder they bought in Alsace in the 70s. So this pepper grinder has has moved with me everywhere. So that is a bit of home. When I go and see my parents, I usually come back with a suitcase full of Italian coffee, little bits and bobs my parents give me, sometimes olive paste. It tends to be the Italian side of things and not so much the Tyrolean side of things. My dad used to make apricot jam. Then there used to be the odd jam jar, homemade jam from home. Last week, I returned from a trip to see my parents with several pouches of sort of shrink-wrapped dried fruit. My dad likes to buy very special pears in the autumn, flavor some local pears. He lovingly cuts them up and dries them and then puts them in bags them and vacuum seals them. So this time last autumn, he could not get pears, so he got a crate of apples and dried them for me. So there are dried apples that come back. Cooking, I guess, is a taste of home. I know British people often resort to curries as a quick meal. For me, it's pasta. So that's home. There are things from home. Not many, but often of the culinary variety. Although I didn't move to the UK because I was out as a lesbian, I do believe it's been easier. Back home. So we had this. We talked about what is home. Back home, where my parents live, I believe even there is better now. But it was very conservative, very Catholic, and I don't remember a single gay man or lesbian in the village growing up. I'm pretty sure they were around. They probably hid it very well. I don't remember any. Last week when I was there, my father said, was this so-and-so who I know is an out lesbian, and it is a woman she was a few years younger, still is a few years younger than me, but she was in a few classes, a few years below me at school, and I was always delighted to find out when I heard she was a lesbian, and she lived as a lesbian openly in the village, has been doing so for many years. So it is now possible. I think when I left in the 80s, I would have really struggled. So for decades, I would not have seen a life for myself. These days, I think it would be possible. I have had people mutter unpleasant things under their breath while I was walking down the high street holding hands with my partner in Shoreham. I vividly remember in Brighton, I remember being threatened with a baseball bat in Pavilion Gardens. That we're going back, I don't know, maybe 15 years now. It is my understanding that Brighton is open and gay friendly, but only on the surface. If you move to the fringes, or if you walk past the wrong crowd, you still it's still dangerous. I've lost most of my European friends and so most of my local friends. who were not British, so a lot of Germans. I work as a translator, so I have many German, French, Italian friends. The vast majority of them have moved back to their home countries. So for several years, I felt like I was the one left behind. The landscape definitely has changed since then, and during that time I had bitter regrets. Now I look at the political situation on the continent, and right now where we are, I count my blessings. Right now we're very lucky. This could change anytime soon, but at the moment, what I'm trying to say, it's fluid. It's never one thing. Sometimes I regret being here. Sometimes I don't. I don't think wouldn't want to move back, because this is home now. If I moved back in inverted commas, I'd have to start from scratch. I've been here for a very long time. My name is a constant source of not so much confusion, sometimes amusement. My full name is Angelika. My first name is Angelika, which is a name that's in my passport. It's my official name. Hardly anyone calls me Angelika. Not even my parents do. And my surname is Hell. That's Hell. Which, is cause for a lot of reaction. If I got 1 penny for every single time someone comments on my surname, I would be absolutely stinking rich. In German, Hell means bright or light, and in English it means the opposite, but it's always funny. I tend to say I wouldn't get away with anything because everyone always remembers my surname. And again, it's like the thing with the accent. The person saying, "What's the accent from?" says one thing to one person. I get this every single day of my life. Every time I have to give someone my surname because they need to write it down, I wait for the comment, or I will preempt and crack the joke before they get a chance, because there's always a joke. Or they feel terribly polite and they think they've misheard because it couldn't possibly be, could it? So sometimes I get mail, I get my name printed, and there's every single consonant you could think of is there, but it's not an H, it's Mel, or sometimes it's Hole, it's Hill. So they change it because they go, "Oh no, it can't be, she can't be called Hell."
Angelika Hell was talking to Maria Jastrzębska.